Hi, everybody. Hey, are you afraid of heights? I know a lot of people are. Not me. I'm only afraid of flying, so I guess you could kind of say I'm afraid of heights. But you might ask, why are we going up into space? Well, that's a good question, because actually, the reason we're doing this today is because we're talking about Kennedy and the space program. And yeah, the space program has been something we've all grown up with. It's been around for a long time, but it actually gets a pretty early start. It starts in 1959. President Eisenhower, was trying to explore the outer reaches of space. And we did it mostly because we knew the Soviets were exploring space. And believe it or not, the Soviets are the first ones to actually get to space. And they do it in 1959, and they put basically a grapefruit-sized satellite up into the atmosphere, and it orbited the Earth, and they won the first round of the space race. And Eisenhower was pretty unhappy about that, so out of a sense of competition, he starts the National Space Agency, and later that space agency gets renamed NASA. And so we actively start to try to get to space, but we make limited progress. Fast forward a little bit, in 1960, the Soviets actually put a man in space, and that just won't do. Americans are very competitive, and they don't like the idea that the Russians actually beat us to space. When John F. Kennedy was elected president, he too looked at the benefits of going to space, and he really accelerated our program. He wanted to put a man on the moon. And in 1961, the idea of putting a man on the moon is like colonizing Mars. And a lot of Americans didn't know if that was actually doable or feasible or anything. He asked for $7 to $9 billion, and that's in 1962. And if you run it out, that's something like, $64 billion today. It was a lot of money, and a lot of people were really concerned that that might be just a pure waste of money. Now, Kennedy got his wish, and he got his budget, and NASA got its budget. Before you know it, they started producing a lot of interesting things. None more so than the first actual manned mission to the outer space. And John Glenn actually completes the first mission to space in an American capsule, the Friendship 7. Beyond that, what happens after that is America just goes crazy. Anything space is hot, and they want to know more about space, and they want to go to space, and they want to put a man on the moon. And so our space program just takes off, to use sorry about that. I had to. It was a cliche. But in 1969, we actually achieve our goal. We actually land on the moon, and we take our first steps around the moon, and so we beat the Russians to the moon. But truth be told, the Russians really, that was about the extent of their technology. They never could quite figure out how to do the extra lap, if you will, to try to get to the moon. So to this point, the United States of America is the only country that's actually ever been to the moon and back. We've had several trips, actually. In fact, they're planning on one in the future. But in any event, it's a legacy of John F. Kennedy. He's the president that puts us on the path to go to space and to conquer space, if you will. And of course, they couldn't have done it without the technology and the rocketry. And, that's one of the sidebars, I guess, of the space race. As our rockets get more improved and as our capabilities to put rockets into higher orbits improves, we just need to develop the technology to go outside of our own orbit and get to the moon. But that's what happens when you have a space race, because the technology improves. So are you afraid of heights? Well, I don't know. I'm not. Maybe you are. But I can tell you one thing. John F. Kennedy wasn't afraid of space or afraid of heights or anything else. So that's kind of the story of America's space race. And thanks for watching. I hope you had a good time. Bye.